Hello, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to the Love Experience Show, y'all. I'm so excited about today. I hope you're excited and that you're ready for what's about to go down tonight on the Love Experience Show. We are talking about God's love. I got the title a little dyslexic, just a little bit, but we're talking about God's love with a friend of mine that I have gotten to work with a couple times within the last couple years. Before we jump into the conversation, you guys know what the deal is. Share this video, this episode with everybody you know. Go ahead and share the YouTube channel. Get as many people as you can on so that we can make this an interactive engagement tonight. And come with your questions, come with your comments. I'm ready for y'all. I hope you're ready for us. Don't forget to go to It's Ashley J's for your Love Experience Show merchandise. Okay, I got a lot of good stuff on there, and I had added some new things on there. So go get your merch. Come on, y'all, go do it. Let's see what else do we have. One thing that I have not mentioned yet, but I'm going to mention it right now. If you are a single woman, listen up. I have a boot camp just for you. Okay. If you're tired of dating the same type of people and you are ready to start on a new path and meet the person that you have been purposed for, you holler at your girl. I got a course for you, a boot camp for you that's going to set you straight on all of that. Okay. So tonight I have a special guest, my homie, my brother Alex. Alex, what's going on?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
So,
Nice to be here. Appreciate
yes,
it.
and I'm glad you are here. So, listen, Alex and I met a couple years ago. He
Yeah, I
had me
think it was
on,
pre-pandemic.
yeah, he had me on his podcast. We had a very long conversation. And just recently it was sometime in March. Um, I was just on doing life
Doing
with the
life.
word.
Yeah, doing life with the word
Yeah,
with
with
the fellas.
him and Les, and that was a great experience. They got me to come on their show 5:45
5:30.
in the morning, y'all. I am not a morning person, but I did it. So he's here to impart some wisdom with us, and I am super excited to have this conversation. Hey, Aunt Linda, and I just showed Alex your picture. He remembers you.
Yeah, Living Faith Christian Center.
All right,
Ask
so
her. I wonder, does she still know the mission statement?
if you know the mission statement, Aunt Linda, go ahead and put it in the chat so he
No,
can
it's
see.
long. It's long. She don't need to
It's
put it in the chat.
long.
Yeah, it's kind of long. Yeah, I still remember it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Alex, what's going on? You got new life, new wife,
Yeah.
baby on the way. Like, talk to
Yeah.
the people. What's going
Yeah,
on?
yeah. Well, life is good. Life is it's good. My wife has been an extreme blessing to me. I was just talking. I think we were talking a couple days ago about like this October we've known each other 6 years,
Wow.
and over these past 5 years, I could say has been the pretty much the best 5 years of my life because I have an understanding of life. I have an
Mm,
understanding of partnership. I'm seasoned. I'm not, you know what I mean? I've been around the block a few times, I got some wounds to show it and everybody has their level of maturity.
mhm,
And when you're mature when you can add value to someone because she came a part of my life, which was a broken guy, low self-esteem, just trying to be there. And she helped me a lot, but in the same sense, I helped her a lot. So that's
mhm.
like a win-win.
Yeah, that's
And you figure, um how can I say this? Because I fell in love first. She would, she think, but I want to say it was love at first second date, because
okay.
because it's weird, because um I met her. We went out to lunch.
Mm,
And I just unloaded on her about my life story and all of that and stuff like that. And she was receptive to me. And then I said, hey, because I enjoyed the conversation. I said, hey, would you like to meet up again after work? I think I was off,
mhm.
and we met up again. So when I say the second day, it was like the first day we really hung out, but the second was at a Starbucks,
Okay.
and I was in love. I was like, I'm done. I said, I'm sold. I'm sold. Now, if she say she fell in love the first time we went out to this sushi joint, all right, you can have that. But it was the Starbucks. It was the Starbucks that said, you know what? And I've been in love since then. You figure 5+ years I've been in love.
That's
I don't
good.
even know how to sugarcoat it, but I want to. Now that we're talking about this love, I really can't really talk about love. I mean, it's called the love experience, right? Like when I
Mhm.
when I think about love, I just really have to talk about the love that I believe, the love I receive from the Lord
Okay.
Jesus. You know what I mean? Because I
Mhm.
we can't really get into this whole love thing if we can't talk about who is love.
The one that
He is
created it.
love. You know what I mean? He is love. So I really can't give love unless I receive love. So whatever my wife received from me has a lot to do. I say it all the time, my vertical. And when I think about the love that Jesus, and I'm just being plain like Jesus, like I ain't saying God, I ain't like it's him. It's for me to say I've been in love for the past 5 years with a young lady, I have to talk about the past 35 years about who have loved me.
Mm,
And it didn't really take me to get an understanding of how I receive love until it was pre-Farron, you know what I mean? Because I was married, and then I went through a divorce. I went through betrayal and being heartbroken, and just, kicked to the curb, led astray. You know what I mean? How I felt, how I was feeling, just the mental battles I was having. But it
mhm,
was at that moment where I had everything to pick from, far as women, far as just illegal opportunities, and just things that will really help me plummet more. But I was able to keep my mouth shut and stay tight and really just really learn about the grace of God, and that way. I didn't know that exists, because you don't really know God until you're in a dark situation, and then it was depressing. But as you stay in that, you'll learn that he'll put you in a hopeless situation to give hope to somebody else. And in that time, I was discovering a lot, and I was able to receive love, and I was able to receive love because I was by myself. I
mhm.
was lonely. I had a lot of lonely nights, a lot of scratch in my head. Like, is this what Christianity is about? Like, is like I thought he was Santa. Like, Santa ain't coming. You know what I mean?
All
But
right, let me pause
oh,
one
go,
second.
all right, go ahead.
1 second. So let me ask you this. When did you first receive Jesus as your Lord? And then when did you first realize you were experiencing his love?
February of 2006
Okay.
is when I became a born again Christian. I was 24 years old,
Okay.
and I didn't really, I want to say, I didn't really have an understanding of his love until, um, I was going through a family breakup.
Okay.
I didn't really, because, you work, you go to church, you're in a routine and stuff like that, but until you really, like, whether you're incarcerated, whatever, how can I say this? It was my rock bottom. I shouldn't say rock bottom. It was just really a turbulent time where since becoming born again, I understood had some clarity on spiritual warfare. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
did have some clarity on spiritual warfare, but it's different when you're back against the wall and you're in that hard place and you have every right to make certain actions and decisions. And there are people that will agree with you that your actions is justifiable. Oh, you're just human. But what happens when you're silent
Mhm.
and you trust? Mind
Mhm.
you, when nobody, because even though I had some godly mentors and stuff like that, I still had to walk that straight line. I had to do it,
Mhm.
and I stayed consistent. You know what I mean? So I want to
Mhm.
say I got born again February 2006. I don't know the date. I
Mhm.
don't know the date, but I felt like I got swindled. I felt like I think Pastor Lamont, I think he swindled me because, you know, um, it's interesting how I got to church because it was this girl who I was flirting with, and just young and dumb, but I was flirting with her, and I remember I tried to talk slick to her, and she's like, "Well, if you trying to holler at me, you gotta holler at the Lord, because that's what I'm about." I'm like, "The Lord ain't ever do nothing to me." So I take my little lustful, demonic self, me flirting. Guess what I did, Ashley? I went to church. I tell you what, if I got any word for anybody, women are the greatest evangelists because it got my heathen, got my heathen behind up in there. You know what I mean? So I end up I going, and the man of God was teaching. He was teaching, and I was listening to him. I was adhering to him. Because I was always really studious.
Mhm.
And so church was over. Not church was over. He was doing an altar call, and I was listening to him. And no, no, no. Let me back up. Let me back up. Heathens go to church on New Year's. That's when
Yeah.
everybody New Year's and Christmas.
Yeah.
So I remember I was talking trash to this girl, which I would talk to trash to a lot of girls, and this one was like church. So she invited me out to church on New Year's, and I'm like, cool. Everybody go to church on New Year's, so it was church was packed. It was like a club. It wasn't like you see everybody. I
Mhm.
ain't know nothing about church. I'm like, I know these ain't no everyday church. Ain't always this packed. I'm like, we went to church on New Year's, and I went and I heard them blah blah blah, but it was just I wasn't really into it. I was just looking forward to getting out of church, going to go drinking or whatever, hanging out with a bunch of other people, which we did. You know what I mean? So she was a bad example. You take me to church, and you know what I mean. Wait, next time I see her, I ain't seen her in a long time. I'm like, you gonna take me to church? We over, everybody having alcohol and we chilling. I'm like, so yeah, now I'm thinking about that. Like we drinking after New Year's service. Happy New Year. We back there, it's turn up time, bottles everywhere. I
Mhm.
tell you, man. Anyway, God bless that lady. She got me so then it happened again, and she just was like, look, I enjoy going to church. So I went again. And then when I went this time, it wasn't packed. And,
Mhm.
I'm like, man, this joint look empty. So it wasn't packed. And well, I say I got swindled, which I didn't know the protocol. I was listening to him teach. He was a good teacher. He was breaking stuff
Mhm.
down. And then, on altar call, they make you close your eyes. And if you ever see Jesus in your life, blah, blah, blah. So me, I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, I heard him. I'm like, I think I received Jesus, some time ago.
Mhm.
But then he says something like, if you have an understanding of God and you want to know more about God, how the way he articulated, I was like, man, that sounds cool. So I raised my hand, right? So he said a few other things. So he's like, all right, let's give a round of applause for people who raise their hand, blah, blah, blah. So, they clapping, clapping. Right? Then he said a few other words and he said, oh, yeah, by the way, the people who raise their hand, I need y'all to come down to the altar. I said, this nigga crazy. I said, I'm like, I said to myself, I'm like, I ain't walking out. And if like Linda tell you, like living faith, I said, I ain't. And I
Yeah.
walked up there, and it was I wasn't by myself though. I wasn't by
Mhm.
myself, so it was like me, more than a few people. And I'm like, this chick, I said, we went from drinking, we had New Year's. I said, I'm in this church. I'm raising my, I'm like, what it like, and that just goes to show you how, first of all, that's God's love.
Mm-hmm.
Because my motives and perspective, I was on a whole different time, but yet God saw something. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? He put something in me for me. Like it's like a homing device where he just was like, I know how to get you.
Mm-hmm.
You little slick talking W, you flirting and all that. I know, like he knew how to reel me. He knew
Mm-hmm.
how to, and it worked. The Lord, when I meet him one day, I'm like, yeah, it worked. He'll be like, yeah, I know it worked. So he know how to meet people,
Where they
you
are.
know, where they at. And I to this day, I think I think I was swindled. But then I started going to church. I'm like, oh yeah, they got him. Yeah, I was like that, got him, because if you don't go, you don't understand church culture and stuff like that. But for me, what helped me honestly was the discipleship. They were big on discipling men, big on I'm talking about Ashley to the degree where I thought, you know, when you are a minister, elder, deacon, or something like that, I thought that you're supposed to, I don't know, be presented a certain way. And these
Mm-hmm.
guys talk like, look what I'm dealing with. Look what I've been through. I'm on my third wife. Lord forgive me. I was on drugs. I'm this and that. I'm ministering. I used to snort coke and blah, 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 blah. And it was a level of transparency to the point where I was forced to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, these brothers, like, I'm like, man, I thought church was phony. Like, I thought, I didn't know anything about it, and I never thought that people would be real talking about what's really going on, especially if
Mm-hmm.
you have a title, because
Mm-hmm.
people want to be seen and looked a certain way. They're like, this thing is a hospital. We all
Yeah.
jacked up, and
Yep.
even though our pastor, um, he's not always on. He's off sometime, but we still see God using him. And for me growing up, in the inner city, single mom, single parent, I didn't have, I lost my father when I was 12. So I never really had that guidance, a guardian, or someone that really pulled me to the side and gave me the game. Even if someone did pull me, even if I did have a dad and I ignored him, at least I had a dad to tell me something. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
none. And it got to a point in my life where my discovery was hard because I grew up with no godliness. I grew up with no direction. Everybody was lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if I was the guy who my mom named or I was for who the neighborhood named. You see what I mean? I didn't, you just don't know. I didn't know if I was who my mom's named me or what the outside world called me. So if you call me something and I got a little bit of cheer or something like that, all right, I'm with y'all. So if my mom called me something, it's like, Mom, please. And my mom is just as lost too. You know what I mean? So, it's just tough. And then when you get into Christ, you got to learn how to deal with your past because
Mm-hmm.
your past can keep you paralyzed to the degree where if you don't deal with your past, first of all, your past was created to put you in a position where the Lord can, because the Lord will use your past.
Yeah.
Your past was created to take you to places that pivot you, pivot you. There's like there are people who I can touch that you can't touch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Everybody has their,
Yeah.
and you have to deal with your past.
But I want to take a minute because you made a very important distinction that I don't, at least the people that I talk to have never really made the distinction the way you did. You had the name that your mom called you and the name that the people on the street called you. And I feel like that was very important for you to say
Oh yeah,
because
why so? I mean, you from Philly. I mean, you see a lot of black brothers, man. We were lost.
And just the okay, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, but just the fact that you had two different names before you knew Christ, then that means your identity was split. And you didn't know who you were. But once you got with Christ, you got a new identity that was planted firm for you, created a firm foundation for you. And then that new identity gave you a new name. You are now a king's son. You're a
Yeah.
king's kid.
And it's beautiful because, you know, me and my wife are expecting we having a son in August, and you know, it's a beautiful opportunity. In the natural position, it took me 40 years to get a boy, but maybe I had to go through 40 years. So now when he come, and prayerfully I have a lot of years with him. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Because I lost mine at 12.
mhm.
And I'm sharper than my dad. He can't touch me. Yeah, my dad, he got born again a little late. You know what I mean? So yeah. Even though he died at 35, I was 12. I got born again at 26, and I really jumped in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah. He ain't here to back himself up. So, if he's listening, I don't know. They say it's a heavenly host listening. He can't touch me. No, because when he passed at age 35, that's when I learned how to receive his love. So now the game's over. You know what I mean? I have a light bulb now. I
Isn't
have
that
a light.
something?
Yeah, huh?
I say, isn't that something?
Yeah. It's like when he died, I started like I got the same age. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and we plan to name our son after my dad. His name was Abraham. You know, yeah, we
Okay,
plan to.
I was about to say, okay, he said it, so I'm gonna say it. My husband's father passed when he was 11, and we named our son after his father.
Oh yeah,
So yes, it like I'm listening to you talk and I'm hearing the similarities and seeing my husband's comments. Like there's kind of there's a lot of similarity in both of your stories.
yeah. Well, when you grow up in a low income area and you don't have much guidance and no godliness, sometimes you could be so full of where you came from that you can't see where you're going. And when you're in Christ, what the devil wants is my faith. That's what he wants.
Mhm,
You know what I mean? Because if he wanted to kill me, he could have been killed me. He could have,
mhm,
it was pouring down raining out here. I was on the Atlantic City Expressway, any type of thing, but he just wants my faith. He wants me to denounce him,
mhm,
and he's going to always present certain traps and opportunities that he just want my faith. And if I didn't have my faith in him, I probably wouldn't even be interested in being consistent with my wife. She probably wouldn't even have been my wife. And certain actions and decisions, certain things that has happened to me actually worked for me for my good,
mhm,
but it could have caused me to plummet. My pastor's wife says something like, I don't know if my pastor's wife or my pastor said that God allows what he hates to get to what he loves. And it's just like he will allow certain things because there's something inside of you that is supposed to come out. A lot of times people be running from the cross, but man, Jesus carried that joker. He was going to the destiny, and it,
mhm,
and it was a guy that helped him on a road. I think his name
mhm.
was Simon. I don't know his name. That's a homework assignment for everybody. Why? Who was the dude that helped Jesus carry the
I
cross? I
don't
don't know.
remember. Y'all tell us. Y'all put it in the
Yeah,
comments because I
yeah.
don't
Because
remember.
because
I want
on
to
a,
say
on,
Barnabas.
on the Bible movies, they was whipping him too. Like Jesus was carrying the crowd, they whipped it. Like my man was like, "Yo, I'm trying to help the dude." But
Mhm,
but in my born again experience, there were people who came along and helped me. There are people who still helping me, you know. And discipleship is so key. And a lot of people, they got certain personalities, whether they want to suffer in silence and stuff like that. I was just talking to my wife. I may seek counsel, like just meeting with a therapist and getting my heart right and my mind right and really be after this thing because it's a real war out there, and he wants my faith. He's going to work hard and not get me to be that overseer for my son and my daughters. Like he's on his job, and I need to be on mine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna take this moment to let y'all know, okay, y'all know I'm a therapist, but I I really, really, truly believe everybody needs to take some time to speak with a therapist. Um, I did when I was in college, and she broke so many things that was within me that I couldn't break on my own. Those
Right.
things that were wearing me down and keeping me, thrown off and messing me up in the head. She was able to see that stuff when I was talking to her and break it. And I am able to do the same thing for others who I help. So I don't care if you're a Christian or not. Everybody should see a therapist.
Everybody.
God created therapy for a reason.
Mm.
Okay. Everybody
Yeah.
should see a therapist.
I mean,
All
I
right.
think we need to talk about that. Like, why is therapy perceived as a curse word? You know what I mean? Like people think like I remember I was talking to a gentleman. He was saying he was they were doing like a marriage workshop at the church,
Mhm.
and I asked him. I said, why ain't nobody here? He was like, because people perceive that if they come here, something's wrong with their marriage.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, so Satan, like, where do these thoughts come from? Like, how you supposed to dip them things? Like, people like, oh no, I ain't going there, because if I'm sitting in there, it's gonna look like me and her going through something. It's like y'all are going through something. Y'all are like, what you mean? Like,
Every
you
married couple
know
does.
what I mean? But I think the truth is some of us are ashamed of our story. We are. Some of us are ashamed of our story, and we think we can have a great relationship without telling our story. We think we just think we can, and nobody want to talk about that. Traumatic events will shape you. They will.
They will.
Traumatic
They
events
do.
will shape you, and they will put you in a place where you are paralyzed. You have walls up. You have no way Jose's. I was just reading. It's a book. I was reading. Like we got this at our last marriage workshop. If you get a chance, check it out. I don't know if you can see it. Your Marriage Today by
Okay.
Crawford and Karen Loritz.
All right.
And they OGs in the faith. They're old. And the guy said, he said one of the tests of true love is the answer to this question: how much am I willing to sacrifice for this person?
There it
He said,
is.
like, what is it? So when I say no way, Jose, it's like, what is it? What is you? Well, I ain't doing that. Like, what are you not willing to sacrifice? Like, just keep it 100. That's the best premarital question. Like, what, what is it that you won't do? Oh, we ain't ready to do this then. We ain't, we ain't, and he said, the depth and richness of our marriage is a reflection of the sacrificial deposits we have made both for the marriage and each other's lives over time. So in other words, when I was reading that, um, and they've been married, they part of Gary Chapman's team, the five love language guy. They
Mhm.
part of his fraternity, and he wrote the forward.
Okay.
Gary Chapman. He wrote the forward to this. So basically, what he's implying is that the best seed is the sacrificial seed. So whatever you do in your marriage, if it didn't cost you, then don't expect an exceptional harvest. Like don't. Like
Right.
so the best seed is the sacrificial, the seed where you're like, I don't want to, I don't feel like, oh Lord, why are you gonna take me there and blah 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 blah. And it's like I was listening to Eric Thomas, and he was like, he was doing well in his marriage, but they hit a wall because he him and his mom always was beefing because his mom had him when she was like 16,
Okay.
and then she went and just got married to some dude, moved them all in the house, and he was very mean to Eric, and Eric was bitter, and Eric just left the house as a teenager and became homeless, and he ended up meeting his lady Dee Dee and stuff like that, but they could never get to a level of maturity and sacrifice and just love in the marriage because he was bitter towards his mom. And she said, this ain't gonna work. You need to have a conversation with your mom. And he was like, I don't need her about it. And like he was angry. And until he sat down and was like, Mom, I just think you handled that wrong. I was young and you just married a guy, moved him in, and like, and you know, you end up getting pregnant. Like, I just like it affected me. You never asked me my input, blah, blah, blah. And by her, his mom keeping it 100, him keeping it 100, him and his wife was able to excel. Ain't that something? But
So go ahead.
no, I just think the history is just not something people are willing to talk about. So when I talk about me and my past and stuff like that, it helps me to be there for my wife, my daughters. When my son get older, I could tell him like, look, this is what your dad been through. This is what your dad used to do. Your dad was lost. Like, I'm not just making nothing up, you know?
Mhm. And with you saying that, I can say from what you were just talking about with Eric Thomas, I can say that his marriage wasn't just stalled because he couldn't get past it. He was emotionally stunted. He was still 16. He grew up, but he was still 16 years old inside because of that. And traumatic events will do that. Traumatic events, yeah, you're going to chronologically grow older, but mentally, emotionally, you're still at that age where that traumatic event happened. You don't get any older. And I'm telling you that because I can say for myself, that's where I was. And it caused a lot of pain. And I see it all the time. And you have to help people work through where they are and realize that they need to mature and they need to grow. So I need to let this thing go and
Yeah.
heal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I don't think that I say it all the time. I don't think that people perceive that's the purpose of a relationship. I don't think people perceive that. You know, if your
Mhm.
husband call you on the carpet or something, if my wife called me on the carpet on something, because they're actually helping us. They're actually helping us. But in the same sense, we like, isn't that for my therapy session at 3 p.m. tomorrow? Like, why I gotta come from you? you know,
Mhm.
and it's just unfortunate that people have been through some things in life and they never dealt with those things, and they think they could just stand at the altar and get born again and talk in tongues and stuff like that. And it's like you never dealt with what had happened to you.
Right.
And how can I say this? Because there are a lot of reasons why we act and and be a certain way, and we don't even know what happened. We really don't know. The thing is, I ultimately believe that we all need therapy in some way, shape, or form, and it don't mean something's wrong with you. It's just God desire community. You know what I mean?
Therapy is healing. Yeah, it's going to be painful. I like to tell my clients this when we very first session, it's going to be difficult before it gets easy.
Yeah,
It's going to hurt before it heals because there's a lot that you have to pull out in order to move on, in order to get to that next place that you desire to be. That's just what it is. And some people, they have this mentality that nobody can help them because nobody understands it. I'm gonna give you a secret to a good therapist. Good therapists have been through some things. Okay. A good therapist may have some mental illness. Okay. Good therapists been through some things, therefore they can help you get through that thing that you are in. That is a good therapist.
or they can point you to one.
Yeah, or they can put, because you definitely have to work within your scope, but let's just say talking about the bare breast, whatever you call it, of things, depression and anxiety, that's the thing that has been the major issues that people have been coming to therapy for in the last couple years since the pandemic. That has been the major issues. And just like you're going through it, guess what, your therapist is going through it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that therapist has therapists.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
got
heard.
some
I
jobs
heard.
require you to have one.
That's what I heard. You know what I mean? That's what I heard. That's what I
It's
heard.
true.
I just it's see, in Christ, you know, life happens where life is just going to fall in your lap and you're
Mhm.
going to say, God, why? I know what it's like to be married and you work, you give to local church, you serve and stuff like that, and your spouse don't want nothing to do with you, and you scratch your head, and it's like, well, do I stink or do I am I lazy or you start self reflecting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, man, and then I know what it's like for a person not to want to be with you. So it's like it got to a point, and I'm just talking about my depression, where if you could just stay there and continue to seek him and don't seek understanding about what's going on, if you could stay there and seek and not trying to understand what's going on, even though you're being hurt, you'll discover that Jesus has a plan when I have a pain. And then,
Yeah.
but stay there, still stay there, and it's going to do something. It's going to create a giant in you. And
Mhm.
granted, I had some hard days, but guess what? I have people perceive me because I still have hard days. I'm like, man, people ask me, like, they look up to me, and I still be like, You talking to me? Oh, I'm like, I thought you like, and it's just one of those things where if you stay in there and stay the course, you can't lose. He is the sweet spot, and I wanted to learn him without going down that road.
Right.
But apparently, he has a way of getting our attention, and I think most people don't want to talk about their story. A lot of times their relationship with Christ is always being displayed upon. Oh, we doing this? Are we doing this? Are we doing this? How about, look, this is what I've been through, and look at me. Like, I had courage to love again, Ashley.
Right.
And I ain't around a bunch of men that be on some lovey dovey stuff like me. You know what I mean? Some cats be like, man, please, and to have the courage to love again has all to do. I love your show, The Love Experience. We gotta talk about who is love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's no way. It's no other way. And it takes a level of humility, abandonment, loneliness, quietness, and I wish it was a sweet journey. You know what I mean? I wish I could sell Christ. Like, come on, it's like, no, strap up your boots.
Yeah.
Like, this ain't no, yeah, I could die for this cause. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
And one thing that I'm learning, recently now and everything, I've always known this, but experiencing it firsthand. You read the story of Jesus, he went through pretty much everything that we go through right now. He went through, like, when you were talking about how the enemy comes in to take your faith. He went through that. When he came out I was just reading the story to my son this morning. When he came out of the wilderness after he was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, what y'all think the devil meant when he said to him, bow down to me and I'll give you all of this? What y'all, and he was talking to the creator's son. He was talking to God's son. So what y'all think? You think he hasn't gone through anything? You think his journey was easy? No.
Mhm.
But his journey is a reflection of the journey that we go through. He mapped out, he lived it for us and mapped it out for us for when we go through it now. The Bible is very much so relevant today as it was 2,000
Oh,
years
no
ago.
doubt. No doubt. No doubt. I mean, he's our example. He was
Absolutely.
in all points tempted, yet without sin. When I know what you're talking about. I think it's in Matthew 4. And Satan was trying to talk to him and took him up on a high mountain and do all this. And he said, man should not live by bread alone,
Mhm.
but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And he just knew how to discern certain things that even Peter says something. He called Peter, he said, get behind me, Satan. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he knew about warfare.
Mhm.
And granted, he wept. He did weep, but the brother flipped over some tables too. Don't act like, don't act like he was soft, but
Right.
it's just I just think Christianity and this love walk is painted with like fluffy pillows and like it's supposed to be a certain way, and it's
It's not okay. And if you don't want to look at Jesus, look at Paul.
oh,
Look at Paul.
oh,
I mean,
yeah,
there's the Bible is littered with people who did not have an easy walk. But if you take the time, look at the different versions of each story in the Bible,
yeah.
you will see the relevance to you.
Yeah, I think my pastor just got finished teaching this series on contentment,
Mm,
and I think Paul wrote this, or it was in Timothy. It said, how did it go? Godliness plus contentment equals great gain. I think it's First Timothy 6:6.
mm,
Godliness with contentment equals great gain. And one of the things that he blessed me with, he said, we have got our great gain wrong.
mm.
Because whatever you call great gain, that's where your contentment would be in. Like, let's do an exercise. What would you consider? What's great gain for you? Like right now, right
Right
now,
now,
April 7th, 2022. What would be like, Alex, that's great gain. Like, what would you say great gain is?
finances.
All right. So yeah, obviously you got busted because it ain't godliness with contentment. So so whatever you define what great gain is, we got our great gain wrong. And it's possible that we could be pursuing the wrong things. But I'm so glad he's a loving, caring father. And my pastor said, God know how to put lotion in areas where we don't even know is ashy. You know what I mean? He just know that's his love. When we may think we all lotioned up, people looking at us like, yo, Ashley, like that, she like, man, she. But it's just one of those things where the best thing that happened, if a lot of how can I say this, is like, because most people with regrets, the number, when someone have regret, how they have regret, they say, if I could rewind time,
Mm,
I would have whatever. That's when someone have regret.
mm,
Whether they 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, they be like, man. So if you ask somebody, if you had rewind time, what would you rewind it to? That's when they have real regret. And if I got one regret, I only have one regret, and it's that I wish I would have got born again sooner. I wish I'd have known what a prayer life was. I wish I would have known what purity was about. I wish I wouldn't have entertained just living that kind of lustful life, and whether it was womanizing, masturbation, pornography, um just illicit movies, rap music, and just my environment, my whole lineage. I kind of wish I was a weird kid that, you know, and when it was all going on, I stuck in a room. I was stuck in a room or something like that, because when I look at it now, me being 40, you know, a lot of those things, Christ has done a very great work in me, and he's still working through me. I just wish I wasn't exposed to a lot, you know? And I just, but even then, it probably would have been hard. But in the same sense, it probably was presented to me too. Actually, it probably was.
you think
You
so?
figure if I got born again at 24, who knows how long he been knocking? You know what I mean? But I
Mm,
take 24 over 34. That's the, you see what I mean? So I got born again at 24, right? And I just learned how to receive his love at age 35. Not that I was out there like a real wretched Christian, but it was just like I had to go into my wilderness.
mhm.
You know, I had to go in my wilderness, and now I'm like, okay, I never be a Muslim. I never worship Buddha. Like you can't. Nah, nah. I will never cheat on my wife. I'm cool. I'm content. I'm
Mhm.
content. Like ain't got
Mhm.
nothing to do with her. If sickness hit my wife's body and she can't physically, I'm content. If she can't fulfill me, I'm content. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Godliness with contentment. So it's like, so what you gonna bring at me? You know, oh, I could get you all this money. You know, who said I was broke?
Right.
Who said I was broke? You know, if I do have mental financial issues, it's because of what I've been confessing, what Howard perceiving and stuff like that. But from his view, he probably like, man, you doing well. you
Yeah.
doing, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where you have to ask yourself, what is great gain? You know what I mean? And we're ashy. We need some of his lotion. And when he said that, that was just so funny, man. You know, because I remember him saying something like that. We have to pursue God daily
Yeah.
because our affection and emotions have wheels and they be all over the place. It's like a sailboat. You know, it has wheels. And at times you could find yourself being double minded,
Yeah.
you know, indecisive, you know, acting like a bastard, like you have no father, you know.
Mhm.
So you really have to be in pursuit of telling on yourself in prayer.
Oh yeah.
Telling on yourself in prayer, like, Lord, I like her. Lord, I like him. Lord, he smell good. Look, like you gotta say that. You gotta have a transparency. Prayer is like, man, man, like real stuffing. Because if not, you know, you can find yourself thinking like, if I could just get that, if I could just get that, and you'll be like Doubting Thomas. Remember Doubting Thomas, like, well, if I could just put my hand in this thing, I could just. And then
Mhm.
when he did, he said, all right, put your hand in. All right, put your arm over here. And Thomas still wasn't content.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he showed up. He showed
Yeah.
up. So, you know, man, don't get me wrong. You know, I want you to be financially set, though. You know, so I heard you say finances, and trust me, I want some more money too. Don't get it wrong. But the thing is, like, when contentment is, don't let that have you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat now. Ask your questions.
Yeah,
So,
I think if anything, man, I just really what's on my heart right now. It's like people need to just deal with their past. You know, I watched a show last week, and that man, that what was her name?
Sonia.
Sonya was so transparent. I never heard a woman talk like that. Like,
Mm,
you know, I was just promiscuous. You know, I got pregnant. You know, I had an abortion, and I just kept trying to find love and being loose and blah blah blah, and talking about her current marriage, and you know, and like just being like she dealt with her past.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And she's like, man, I got 2 kids in heaven waiting for me. I got an abortion one. I had a miscarriage. I can't wait to reconnect with my kids. And I'm hoping. And I just was watching her like she wasn't even like she wasn't speaking from a place of like privilege of how God is. She was speaking from, look what God is doing. Look
Yeah.
how I was, and look how wretched the love experience was. Like, she was just talking about that love that she received. And I just
Mhm.
thought, like, man, like people, I enjoy hearing stories, but I also like hearing how God has got people out of certain things. And you played a part in helping the Lord too, because we can make it hard for the Lord. We
Oh
can.
yeah. If we
We
don't
can
take our
make it
hands off
hard,
it.
you know.
Yeah.
And what he calls sacred, we must call sacred. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Like, whatever he calls sacred, we must call it sacred. And you have to come under submission. You have to come under the umbrella. You know, the reason why I chose Jesus, the reason why I believe in Jesus, not chose Jesus, the reason why I believe in Jesus, because me personally, I believe that he is the only one that can deal with the human heart. He's the only one. This thing is so wicked. I've been exposed to some story, Ashley, where people have done certain things and just laid in the bed next to their spouse like nothing happened. Like the heart can be so like it could get callous. And I think he's the only one that can deal with the human heart. And I just man, I'm just in love with a man and ain't nothing gay about it. He can hold me, he can kiss me, he can touch me. I mean,
He's your father.
I'm so far out there. I either seek or sink. Like I ain't holding on to him. Like I ain't got nothing. Like, and if he ain't enough, I don't even know how to. I don't, you know. But I've been broken. I've been shaped. I've been through some things. I've been exposed to some things, and I'm happy to talk about it on a love experience. You know, the love, like you can't. I think you should change that logo. You need to try to throw a little cross up in there or something. You like you can't have love without. He is love.
He is love. Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
he said the dude I was reading the so he um it's one of these books where the wife and husband be talking.
Mm-hmm.
So the wife was saying that we supposed to be like a reflection of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so if we're following him, then we are to love. And she was like, she does workshops for men. Like she be giving men game, like how you should treat a woman like a woman. And she put, you know, you need to put your name where it say love at. And you know, your wife need to know that. You know, so it said Alex is patient, Alex is kind, Alex does not envy or boast, Alex is not arrogant or rude. Alex does not insist on his own way. Alex is not irritable or resentful. Alex does not rejoice at wrongdoing. Alex only rejoices in the truth. Alex bear all things. Alex believes all things. Alex hopes all things. Alex endure all things. Alex loves never end. And you know, you're a king kid, you know, we have been adopted where we cry out Abba Father, like we, you know, we have come under the lordship. A lot of times, you know, adoption has a negative connotation in it, but he adopted us, he adopted me, and he chose to need us. You know what I mean? And if you ain't really about Christ, man, you going to hell. Like I ain't afraid to say it. Like I'm like you just got like I don't like man, whatever. Like I'm man, like you know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, yo, man, you like look, it's gonna be hot down there. I'm gonna have
Sure.
water. I'm gonna have the living water.
Okay. So I want to jump into the comments real quick. Um, Hello to everyone who is watching. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. If you have any questions or specific comments about what you are hearing, go ahead and drop them now so we can read them and address it. Okay. So, hello, everybody that's watching. Thank you, husband, for saying I look good. Thank you.
Oh, that's so
um,
sweet. Well, you guys name, he's named after his grandfather, huh?
Marquis says, yeah.
Yeah, that's my middle name.
Yeah, you told me that the other
Yeah,
day.
yeah. That's what's
Um,
up.
so Tariq said, Tariq said when you were talking about the girl got you to go to church, he said the same thing happened to him, but he was the only one at the altar that day. He had 3,000 eyes looking on him. And he said very similar stories. His father passed at 32 and he was only 11.
Yeah.
And he was saying that's so similar. When we were talking about therapy, he said for men it has a lot to do with ego.
I believe it. I
I
believe it.
wanted to say with that piece too.
Well, men
People,
don't think, I mean, you gotta understand, like a lot of men don't really think they need help. You know, if you got a job, you're providing, you able to get an apartment, house, she like you. Like, what do you got to work on? Like, you know, why have to work on internal things? Like,
Yeah.
it's like therapy. That's for chumps, you know?
What I want to say about that, a lot of times
Trick of the enemy,
people
though.
are apprehensive about therapy because they feel like that facade, that appearance that they are projecting for people going to church in their daily life, whatever it may be, is going to be shattered because they're seeking therapy or they're going to a couples workshop. But if you change your thinking and realize those things are just tools to help you further your marriage, strengthen your marriage, and I'll speak for my products, help you to connect with intimacy on different levels because people think intimacy is only one thing and that's sex and it's so much more than that. If you that these type of tactics are to help you realize that and to have strong healthy relationships. Um, my aunt Linda said, so true. Traumatic events will definitely stifle you spiritually, emotionally, and physically. My other aunt says, so true. When you share or vent past events, some family and friends don't want to listen or hear it. And that can push a person over the edge in a dangerous way. And then it's too late when they pass away and standing over their casket. Okay.
Mm, true. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's interesting how you said people don't do stuff because of other people, and those other people aren't even helping you.
They're not.
You know, it's amazing how we live for others, and those others, what are they doing? Oh, well, I know how they may look at it. Oh, I know how they may perceive it. And you said, well, are they paying your cell phone bill? You know, are they helping you with so? Are they? How often do they talk to you and be around you? How you know you find yourself buying into that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people pleasing. We all addicted to it. You know, we all have succumbed. We all still try to do things to keep the peace and try to not ruffle the feathers and stuff like that. And I think it's a form of bondage.
It is.
You know, it's a form of bondage, but I think it's easy to fall in that trap. I think
It
so.
is.
And
Um,
yeah, and I just can't really think of something other than your personal history. You know.
it is. It definitely is something that starts in childhood and it just grows with the person as they get older and it becomes stronger in so many different ways. I've helped a couple people break it
Yeah.
because it was so
Praise
powerful in their
God.
life.
Praise God.
It's something. It makes you feel sorry for them because they feel like they don't have a voice unless somebody else has something to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man. You know, and like men and women, we just been programmed wrong. And when it comes to relationships, if you are, how can I say this? If you're uncomfortable with interpersonal talks, you know, you gotta press through that. You gotta press through it. Like, men think grown folk talk is talking about sex. It's like that
It's
ain't
more
grown
than
folk
that.
talk. That ain't grown folk talk. Nah, that's a deception. Grown folk talk is exposing sin before sin exposes you. Cause lust will always feel like love when God ain't in the midst.
Oh yeah.
You see what I mean? So that ain't grown folk talk, just talking about sex. Like, no, let's talk about why you crave it so much. Yeah, let's talk about that. What
Hmm.
was you dabbling in? It's like, are what you trying to play me? It's like, oh, so you don't even know what effective you
You don't know what
certain
it
thing, you know
is.
what I mean? So it's like we have to unlearn how to even discern what grown folk talk is, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and you know what I learned? honestly, you know, the love experience and the love that I received from God, you know, thinking about, you know, my father dying and me felt like I was low, depressed, and about to die, like it was a midlife crisis. Man, it was a midlife crisis. That's what I
Mhm.
learned. Like it was like, man, and there's no way I would be open to getting in a relationship and loving a woman how the way I love her if he didn't come in with a special visitation. Now, granted, I want him to come now. I don't want him to show up when stuff is about plummeting. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But
Yeah. Well, Alex, I
God do
thank
what he
you.
wants.
Yes, he does. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being on the show today. And before we got on, you said you don't know how you're going to talk for
Well,
17
I thank
minutes
you for helping me.
straight. So,
Yeah, I was telling my wife, I'm like, man, I'm nervous. I was all these women, they get to talking, to talking, to talking. I'm like, man, but I just I could talk another hour about his love he has for me and how I received his love. You know what I mean? You know, and then I can piggyback on a love I had for my wife, and that has all to do with the primary. He is the primary. You
hmm
know what I mean? And if I got any advice for any man, and fall in love with the Lord, man. What's more like that? That is no other way. Is, you know, he loved you, he died for you, he saved you, and if most men can have some alone time with a notebook and a pen about all the things he got you out of, man, you would probably fill the whole book up. That's his love. You know what I mean?
That's true. And the same thing goes for women too.
Oh yeah. But yeah,
So,
far as the women, I mean, like I said, that transparency literature I gave you with those videos, and I got more than a few more. You know, I would love for us to dive into that, talk, you know, on a later note with some other women and stuff like that. Because see, you agree with it. I want
mhm,
some women who disagree with it.
okay.
You know, so because I know you got my back. You know, I'll speak for it. I'll defend it, but I don't want to be all by myself.
Okay.
But even if it's some stuff that you disagree with, I would love to go toe to toe with you and, you know, give you the man
Oh, you trying
perspective.
to challenge me.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I love the you know, and I bet you Reek will be like, yeah, get her, yeah, get her, yeah, yeah.
Nah, I can go toe to toe with you. So,
Well, you
but
gotta disagree with me first. You gotta disagree. You know, if you don't, you gotta. Nah, but this was good though. Thank you, and yeah, just let me know. When can we do this again? Or do you ever do multiple, or you only just do one on one?
so that's in the making. When God tells me to get ready to do it, I'm gonna do it. But I do have a couple panel ideas to do for the show.
Yeah, you gotta come on doing life with the word. We talking about communication. What is it? Healthier. I don't even know. It's healthier something by David and Tamala Man.
Oh yeah, I've read that
Healthy
the Vultures.
communication something. Oh, you read it?
Yeah, a while ago. Maybe last year. I read it.
Oh
But
yeah.
absolutely, y'all got me to come out one time. I can come another time. I'm cool with it. But
Awesome, man.
listen, y'all, if you want to be part of the Love Experience show, you want to be a guest, you want to do what me and Alex were doing all night, not all night, but for the last hour. If y'all want to do that, DM me. Let me know. I'll schedule you for a Thursday and let's talk. Let's chat, okay? Um, oh, Tariq said we could do couples. That's multiple couples. That's another idea I got, honey. So you be ready for that.
Now don't be taking
Gotta,
shots at him now.
no,
Don't be, don't be,
he's
don't be.
suggesting that he's gonna have to come on with me.
Oh yeah.
All right, y'all.
Well, I
So
would love to if when you do that, just hit me up because my wife can really articulate how she have helped me in the certain decisions that we did, as far as books and stuff like that, and how I've had add value to her in our courtship, and the you know, the highs, the lows, and what she learned about herself. And
Mhm.
no, that'd be cool. I'm sure a lot of people will be blessed, you know,
Oh
by that.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I love to hear Tyreek version of you demanding the Lord to get married in 30 days. I found a husband. I forgot. I
He wasn't in the picture yet. That was
yeah,
pre-Tariq. Okay.
still, I still think you bullied the Holy Spirit, honestly. So
So listen, y'all. There's only one thing left to say, and that is, what is your love experience? Until I chat with y'all again, I will see you next Thursday. Bye, y'all.